Welcome to the Cincy Postcast. I'm your host, Kevin Wallace, and before we get into today's episode, I want to tell you about our sponsor, Streetside Brewery. You know we've been talking about them all season long. These guys are fantastic, making some of the best beer in the city. We are so happy to be partnering with Streetside Brewery. Their tap room is great because there's always events going on. I've got live music, basically all day, Saturday, Sunday morning. They got you covered with a Formula One watch party, Blue Boat shoes playing later in the evening. There's always something going on there. But maybe the most important part, as a listener of the podcast, you can go to Streetside Brewery on site, and if you tell them you are a listener of the podcast, you heard this ad, they will knock $1 off of your beer. So you've got no excuse. Go enjoy an event. Go take in a brew on their amazing patio and tell them the Postcast sent you. Save $1 off of your next beer. And thank you again and again and again to Streetside for sponsoring this episode of the Postcast. And on today's episode, well, fair warning here, we don't have Grayson. We delayed the episode so that we could talk a little bit about the All-Star game, about the new signing. That was all well and good. When it comes to Leagues Cup, we will do a proper preview on Sunday, which, yes, will be partway through the tournament, but whatever. If you want to go back and re-listen to the old preview, which has the fantastic segment of better know a Liga MX team, that's all still relevant. Those teams are all still the same. So go back and listen to that. I'll try to find a way to link it in the episode description. But in this episode, in part 1, we're talking about, yes, new center back signing to FC Cincinnati. Who could have called that? Nobody saw this coming. Then in part 2, we touch on a little bit of the All-Star game and Leagues Cup. Always a good time. And we wrap it up in part 3 with in the 11 out of the 18. You add it all up, you got yourselves one very, very fun, I have to say, episode of the Postcast. And joining me to talk about all of that and more, I'm joined by the Chief. Chief, you made it home finally.
We made it home. And after I got home, I realized I might have been really lucky to get out of a major Delta hub city. Because as we record right here, there are apparently still people stuck in places like New York, Atlanta, and Salt Lake City. So kudos to whoever it was that answered my call on the Delta customer helpline. You were worth the 3-hour wait on hold, it turns out.
What should have been a 5-minute commute for us on that last day was, in fact, a 35-minute commute because we couldn't not lose service in the subway. So that was good.
We had to walk the entire way because I'll be damned if I was getting dropped off and I had to go back to the back of the line on that one.
I like to think that the longer you stay on hold, the higher quality of CSR you're going to get when you finally do get somebody.
I also like to hopefully think that if you're not like cursing up a storm in the background, that they won't like deprioritize your call. That if you're just constantly like F this the entire way through. To me, if I was running a company and I heard someone doing that, like you would drop immediately back down to the bottom of the call queue right there.
That's really funny.
But hey, you'll be happy to note I received a whole 1,500 sky miles or 15,000 sky miles for my trouble. So
wow.
And that will buy you part of a one-way fare somewhere. So
I was going to say I'm not on the Sky Miles program, but I was going to tell you 1,500 doesn't feel like a lot.
15,000. I know 15,000 feels. Yeah, we're getting a little better there. Okay, 1,500 might buy you the in-flight Wi-Fi. I think is the most you're going to get out of that, or like a drink at the Sky Club, like a premium drink at the Sky Club.
Right. The specialty cocktail.
We talked about this when we were walking around. It didn't make the episode because we already recorded by then. Yeah. But this goes back to a pet theory of mine. Okay. And I understand this may be controversial. So the hot take incoming.
I love this.
So when it comes to our society, right?
Yeah.
We assess punishment for wrongdoing based on the gravity of the act that you have committed, right?
Yes.
So,
murder is worse than petty theft, let's say.
Right. Or like a parking ticket. You get a parking ticket, it's like $30, $60, whatever it is. Murder, you're going to prison for life. Depending on where you are, you might, be going to the chair or something like that.
Yeah.
I don't think anyone uses the chair still, but I enjoy...
Alabama might be trying, but yes.
I feel like Alabama probably still does the firing squad, if we're being honest. But no, like my whole point has always been, okay, look, murder is bad. We all agree on that, right?
I think so.
Are we an anti-murder podcast? I think we need to be an anti-murder podcast.
We'll come out tepid, but anti-murder.
Anti-murder. Okay. You murder someone, you're ruining one person's life pretty substantially, right?
Yeah.
And you're probably ruining or giving a bad day to friends, family, 30, 40, 50. Maybe if this was a paragon of the community, a couple hundred people, right?
Yes.
We send you to prison for the rest of your life for doing that.
Yes.
What should the punishment be for someone who is, I don't know, running a company and inconveniences thousands of people, ruins the day for thousands of people? That has to be worth at least like some time in the chair. Maybe we don't throw enough volts to like kill you, but like you should have to like be worried that like the final shock is coming, right?
So I think the way to do this is we're going to have to use a little math here.
Okay.
But I think you need to assign a dollar value to a flight being delayed or canceled in terms of what would it be to make that person whole. And we actually have the answer to this because airlines offer this to you occasionally when they overbook a flight. And in general, it's like $1,500 for about 4 hours of inconvenience is sort of their rough estimate. So we'll put a pin in that for a second. And I also, this is my own pet theory, that stealing $1 should get you 1 day in jail, and stealing $2 should get you 2 days in jail. So if you steal $1,000, that's 1,000 days in jail. You steal $1 billion, I need you to spend 1 billion days in jail.
That's a lot of days in jail.
I'm just saying, don't steal $1 billion. But now we can just do this. So once you've accumulated all of the total dollars of inconvenience that the CEO of CrowdStrike has caused, they can pay that debt to society in some combination of their choosing in dollars and days in jail.
I think I want days in jail.
Okay.
I don't know that I need 1 billion days in jail, but I feel like most of these CEOs wander through life thinking money is going to solve any problem they run into. Yes. I think more of them should worry about doing 6 months somewhere. I don't need years, but like, it's like that scene in Office Space where they're like, oh no, you just go to some, minimum security prison. We should be so lucky. And the attorney says, oh, no, I've got several clients that are in minimum security prison. It's no picnic. Like, right. I need more CEOs to worry about that. Martha Stewart did time. Why is this guy not doing time? You can't tell me that what Martha Stewart did, insider trading, is any worse than forcing a family of 5 to spend the night like on the floor of the Atlanta airport. I don't want to spend time sitting in a chair in the Atlanta airport waiting for another flight. The idea of sleeping there sounds like the worst possible fantasy football punishment imaginable.
Yeah, literally some leagues do this as a punishment, which is you have to spend 24 hours like in the air or between layovers and things like that. Very funny punishment. I will say when we were leaving CVG at like a little after 11 o'clock, we ran into a family. There may have been some friends of the family mixed in the group, a group of about 8 people. They had been at CVG for 10 hours. They were leaving, again, a little after 11 p.m. because they were finally able to get a flight out of Lexington to Atlanta. So they were going back to their car to go drive whatever the 2 hours to Lexington to, I guess, wait at a terminal to then take a flight, which could only have been like an hour-long flight to Atlanta. Right. Horrible.
Yeah. This CrowdStrike person needs to go to prison. Like, not forever, but long enough to be uncomfortable. Yeah. I need to know. That's like the old Michael Jordan thing. Like when Michael Jordan used to gamble on golf, people would say, you want to wager on a hole? And Michael Jordan would always say yes. because he's a compulsive gambler.
Yes.
And next question is always, well, how much do you want to do? And his response was always, whatever makes you uncomfortable.
You got to sweat it out. That's where the fun comes from.
Like, how much time does this guy need to do in prison? Whatever makes him uncomfortable.
Oh, God.
Wouldn't the world be better
if
just more of these people feared prison just a little bit?
So there's like this weird, and I don't know the legal theories about it or whatever, but like the corporation is its own separate entity, and that in and of itself sort of shields anybody participating in the corporation from any blame that the corporation might do. It's like, so you can work at the big megacorp, and if the big megacorp is putting poison in the thing, like the individual worker working in HR isn't liable, right? But I think we should be holding the CEO, if not the board of directors, as accomplices to the crime.
They are accomplices to the corporation. Oh, what about this? Is this the fix for we don't have pro rel in the United States? Is that if your team finishes in last place, the coaching staff has to go to jail?
I was going to put the owner in jail. That's where
the owner's got to go. The owner's got to go too. So the owner and the coaching staff all have to do what? Like, we'll say 2 weeks in.
2 weeks. 2 weeks is maybe too much of a novelty, but yeah, I'm in.
No, there's no such thing as a novelty when you're actually doing time. If it's not like for a reality TV show, if they just throw you into general pop, there's no novelty factor to that.
See, I'm glad you brought up the reality TV, because in my head, it was automatically a reality TV show.
That's okay. So that's what MLS needs to do, is that they say there's no consequences. I'll even be okay with not going to jail, but like there should be some sort of fantasy football punishment for the ownership and the coaching staff of whatever team finishes dead last.
They have to handwrite a check. No, they've got to pay in cash some obscene amount of money to the winners. It's just like a big bet. Like the wooden spoon winner owes the winner of MLS Cup like $1 million, and they have to pay them live on TV.
They have to pay them live on TV, and the way they have to do it is they have to drive to the winner in a car that they buy from a used car lot for under $1,000.
Yes,
and they have to get there, and it doesn't matter how. That car's got to make it. You better hope LAFC ain't the one winning.
You have to turn some non-liquid asset into the cash. So you got to sell a chunk of your business off. You got to sell a piece of property off. Like, I need you to hurt a little bit.
We need the entire front office to donate enough blood and plasma to pay off the. So good, you're replenishing, the supply of a vital resource that we need.
Yes,
and they're using that money to pay your fee off. Or like who's the league's airline sponsor? Allegiant.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah. You have to take Allegiant flights to every city that they fly to. And you just have to make a map so that you're constantly going to different cities on Allegiant until you get to your destination to pay them off.
Man, that would be good. We can come up with some non-soccer punishments. And I agree. The fantasy football world is where we have to look for the punishments for the owners, for the coaching staff. This is good.
That would be really fun. Like, we don't have pro rel, but it still means something in this country. There is still a punishment for failure. It's like relegation. Anyone can do relegation. You just buy your way up the next year. Yeah. Having to visit every Buc-ee's in America during the off season, that's a real punishment. See, like Pat Noonan driving around from or not Pat. He's never going to finish in last place. But you imagine like Jaap Stam in a car with Gerard Nijkamp and Jeff Birding in the back seat, and they're just going to gas stations eating brisket sandwiches for content.
Now we're talking. Oh my God, need this. I need this so bad. Oh God, I don't know. Yeah, man, this would have been a rough couple of years.
Yeah, we would have had 3 straight years of straight punishment factor. You could monetize this. You have some sort of a punishment for the losing team, and it's just like it's a show that's on Apple TV for the off season, 6 weeks of content.
Yeah. Yeah. And who doesn't love like a good travel show? So you can kind of turn it into something like that. But they have to do like some awful fear factor. I was trying to think of the show. Some fear factor thing at each destination. Yeah. Yeah.
They have to do like improv comedy in 6 different open mic nights around the country.
Gerard Night camp and Stom open mic night at UCV. Let's go.
Ron Jan's open mic there. No. Stop.
Oh my God.
This would be so much better. You want to make this a uniquely the fantasy football punishment is the uniquely American thing.
It is.
And so what you do, okay, so we're going to bring all this together then. All right.
Okay.
All right. I know everyone, if you're listening to this has gone off the rails, but it's all coming back here.
Nope.
That when you finish last place in MLS, you don't get relegated. You have the fantasy football style punishment.
Yes.
Or you can do 2 weeks in jail.
Okay, perfect. Perfect.
Like you check what the punishment is, and it's like, no, I'll just do 2 weeks in jail.
One of the punishments should be working at a Delta call center.
Yes.
which is good to think that somebody's job is a punishment for somebody else. So that's good.
Although the good news is, did you see there's a company in Japan now that has developed technology that uses AI to replace the voice of someone that is calling their customer support center with someone, and it removes all of the emotion and tone from their voice. So someone can just be losing their mind at the customer service rep, but it removes all of that. So they're just talking plainly to the customer service person. So they're not being shouted at or anything like that.
Man, that's good. I like that. It does remind me that 10 years ago, Google advertised an AI program or feature that they were going to add to their phones. And maybe this exists and I've been party to this and I don't know, but they advertised a thing where you could tell this AI to book me a haircut at this place at this time or this time. And the AI would call them up, hold the conversation, and make the appointment for you.
This is like the perfect millennial technology that nobody wants to talk to each other on the phone.
Which would be even better if the AI then calls a place using an AI to field all of the customer calls.
Well, this was, I don't want to steal his idea without giving him credit, but this was Grayson's idea as I was on hour 2 of my on hold with Delta. When is somebody going to invent the Uber of calling customer service reps? So a service that you pay for that calls customer service on your behalf to deal with your issues. So it's just one call center calling another call center to deal with a problem that neither one of these people are involved in.
I love that. I'm also surprised. I know it exists on some level when there's tiered memberships involved, but I would really like corporations to really lean into the bit and offer paid fast passes for customer service. It's it's an hour-long wait, or you can pay $20 right now and we'll take your call next.
This is an evil idea.
And then it just bids up. There are 8 people willing to pay $20 for the next call. Will you bid 50?
Or it's got that thing on the recording where it's your estimated wait time is 2 hours. But if you want to skip the wait and join directly into our VIP line, press 1 now. A $20 surcharge will be added to your account.
Man.
Why
haven't we seen more of that? It's awful.
You know what the sad part is if both of us were Wharton grads, we could pitch these as multi-million-dollar ideas right now and never have to work again.
Damn.
Yeah.
Well, we'll just give it away for free. How about that?
Right. So if you're one of the 12 that is at a high-level corporation and you implement these ideas, please remember to credit the Postcast, just like Tom Bogert did when breaking the brand new signing for FC Cincinnati. Kevin, you're not the only person that can do the awful transitions. Wow. Chidozie Awaziem is officially all for Cincinnati. And gentlemen, I think we need to take a little victory lap on this one because it was, in fact, the Post that broke this story.
It was. This was the Post. I appreciate this. A lot of people were tweeting things like, wow, can't believe the Post got this. Wow, the little podcast that could, little things like that. We have a remarkably long and good track record of being first on signings.
Whoa. We have a track record. We do not have a great track record. We do not have a long track record. Look, we do have a track record.
I can think of 2 real misses that we've
Yeah.
had. Maybe 3, but we did say Matt Hedges, and contact was real. He did not end up signing, which is, I think, all we reported. There were 2 other ones that were real swings and misses. But
we also have to give credit, we have to give credit where credit's due.
Yes.
We did not bite for the PD Martinez rumor.
No, we
because
did not.
we did not hear it, and it was not given to us.
Absolutely would have been happy to bite on it had it been provided to us, as it was apparently provided to everybody else. But we had not only, if we didn't have Lacadia, we definitely had his flight. But yeah, we had Lacadia. We had
his flight. We definitely had his flight. We did not have.
No, we had Lacadia. That's how we got his flight. Joseph Mamay, a wizard. One, Matt Miazga, obviously. Brenner, that was a big one. Lucho, we were definitely first on Lucho. So yeah, I don't know. We've got some records. All right, we got. What
do they say? What do they say about a broken clock, man? You know,
every once in a while we'll get it right. The problem is we use military time, so we're only right once a day.
But we're right all the time in the UK, so it's okay.
Perfect. So yeah, Chidozie Awaziem, he comes to us. I really enjoyed the different approaches different places took with reporting this. So like Bogart's a real one. He's used to the rumor mill. He cites us. That was very nice. Established reporters who don't dabble in the rumor didn't have to mention us. Noted. I thought it'd been,
but we love you all anyway. We love you all anyway.
Absolutely.
We don't need your credit. Our own sense of self-satisfaction is enough.
Yes. I'll get my validation from other unhealthy sources. Thank you.
Yeah. Like listener download numbers and sponsorship.
Yeah. I will say I am very disappointed that Carter didn't mention us.
Sad.
Could you imagine?
Carter doesn't need to. Yeah, as first reported by this other outlet. It's like, man, I work for the team. I don't need to cite any other sources. I know
We're
what all this is
running
happening.
a leaky ship here, and these other randos got a word of this.
I think Carter can't do that because then immediately people would start asking, so did you provide the name to them? Is that how they got?
Second.
Wait, hold on here.
It would bring up uncomfortable questions, yes.
So we talked about a little bit about this on Sunday, and in full disclosure, I was not in a good mental place to listen to the episode because I lived the weekend and I didn't need to relive it. So I don't know how much of this is rehashed, so I don't want to rehash we already had on Sunday.
Okay.
But it looks like the reporting has congealed around this idea that it is a 2-year deal with options for 2 additional years beyond that. And like all MLS contracts, frustratingly, we don't have the dollar value that he is being paid officially. We won't get that until a salary dump comes from the MLSPA. I hate this. You hate this. We've ranted about this for a long time, about how this makes this league so much harder to follow.
Yes.
And you're robbing the fan base of the ability to have the NFL type discourse of, is this player worth the money that they've paid, and doing salary cap machinations. We know they do this because they make all this up. But either way,
yes,
we know that he was paid we're paying a $500,000 transfer fee for him.
Yes. I did like that Transfer Market said it was a $515,000 transfer fee. So factor that into your models, Ken.
Right. So here's the deal. Whenever I see a $515,000, this is where I was actually going to go with this. $515,000, a very accurate number reported on transfer fee.
Yes.
I always believe that there's a reason for these sorts of things, and that the reason for this may be that they are going to attempt to eat the transfer fee entirely in the first year of the contract, because he is only going to be making a prorated portion of whatever salary he's making. And my understanding, this is why I wish Grayson was here, is that they can eat the full value of the transfer in year 1 and not have to amortize that value over the course of his contract, which would mean splitting into 250 this year and 250 next year.
Yeah, that would be huge. Also, again, could really use Grayson here. I remember the vagueness of the MLS rules saying you have to use their budget charge to replace the player when you do the season-ending injury on the first or more valuable player that you place there. So it's possible that his salary and transfer fee this year is the same as Miazga's, or the same or less than the same as Miazga's salary budget, which is $1.6 million.
Or it could be that if they're splitting the transfer fee, that it's less than the 670 some odd thousand that is the max salary budget charge without TAM factored in. And the problem is that even league sources can't get this straight. Like Bogert seemed to indicate that you can use the TAM and everything to make this transaction. Weeby backtracked a little bit when we asked him questions about that online.
Yep.
I don't know. My question for you is, let's pretend, for the sake of argument, that when the numbers all factor out, that this signing is going to end up hitting the FC Cincinnati budget next year for Awaziem at over $1 million. Do you really think that or do you think it is an overpay, or do you think it's okay to theoretically have 3 center backs that are above or approaching max TAM value?
Yeah. So I was playing around again with Cincy Soccer Talk's salary tracker today. I was working real hard. Was playing around with it a little bit, and the salary cap increases for next year. The max budget charge increases to $745,000 before you have to start using your GAM or TAM to start paying things down. I think, using my very rudimentary math and understanding of the rules, that we can fit his salary in easily. Not easily, but we can fit it in, and we can pay a $4 million transfer fee for Luca Orishano and pay Luca. I gave him $400,000 a year. That's probably a very low number, but if we do that number on a 3-year contract for Luca, you swap out Boop for a DP attacker, you make a couple of adjustments here and there on the margins, like Santos and Baird are probably out, and you could probably find a guy at least cheaper than one of those guys to replace him. Not to mention you got guys floating around like Sharilla and Dotto who will cost you virtually nothing. They could move into those spots. We'll see what Dem looks like. We'll talk a little bit about that later. During Leagues Cup, he could potentially step up. I like the idea of having 3 over max salary center backs when we run a 3 center back line, with the understanding that after that it is something like Ian Murphy, Kip Keller, Nick Hagelin behind them. I think that works. I think we can build a roster around that, and I would be excited if that's the plan, particularly with this guy. And maybe more to the question you were asking, I think he's worth it. I think this guy is that good. I think he's a guy that on paper has a better resume than Matt Miazga did in Europe. They have similar resumes. I think it's fair to say he has a better resume. He plays for a very highly regarded national team. He's not a consistent starter for them, but the guys ahead of him are regulars in the Premier League. That's fine. Not a lot of guys in the U.S. pool are going to be starting for that Nigeria backline. I'm excited.
I will push back on the Miazga thing a little bit.
Okay, please.
In this regard, is that at one point in Matt Miazga's career, he convinced Chelsea to pay for him. Now, he never played for Chelsea.
Right.
I think he had like 2 or 3 appearances for the Chelsea first team. But at one point, Miazga was regarded enough that a Premier League team decided to pay for him. Whereas that has not been the case for Awaziem. Awaziem, right?
Awaziem. Yep.
Awaziem. So that's, I think that they're probably similar. I don't know that you're going to say that one is better than the other, but their profiles are similar in terms of where their career path was.
Yeah, it's an interesting perspective of like, would you rather have a player that, yes, as you said, was a part of the Chelsea loan army, that it's one of the top clubs in the world, or somebody who played regularly for Porto, not the highest, but a Champions League regular. So, yeah.
Yeah. So I also, there's a lot to like about this signing, really. He's big. He seems to be really strong. He seems to be aerially strong.
Yeah.
Which is something that this team could use more of, given the way that their set piece defending has been recently. And this is not for nothing either. And I think this is an overlooked aspect. He's well traveled. And I think that matters when it comes to joining a club in MLS, making the transition over to North America. This is not a person where this is his first rodeo moving around. He's been around. I think he's played for 7 clubs in 6 years because he's been loaned to all sorts of different places. He speaks fluent English. His first video that they posted from him on the FC Cincinnati social media, we have an all-American backline right now. Not like in a rah-rah way. It's quite literally our backline is all Americans.
All Americans, yes.
And so combining that with an American keeper, you do want someone where there's not going to be communication issues on the field. Now, they managed with Mascara last year, and I don't know how great Mascara's English was, but you like the fact that he's experienced, that he speaks English fluently, that he seems like he fits in well wherever he goes. And also, he appears to be friends with Obi, too. They highlighted that in Carter Chapley's story, which is definitely worth a read if you haven't been on to read it yet. So there's definitely a lot to like about this signing. I really do like it. I do wonder how the math is going to work going forward. That's a next year problem, though. I know Grayson was chirping about that on the Discord. Right. It's a next year problem, but it's worth thinking about when you have a salary cap league as to what is this team going to look like if they have, I think as we suspect, 3 center backs that are all making north of $1 million, or with a budget hit of north of $1 million on this team. I don't know what that's going to look like. The other thing too, though, is I was thinking about this, is that there's a wild card in terms of your roster build going forward right now. Okay. And that is the fact that we do not know who the U.S. national team coach is going to be. And there is every possibility that when they select a new national team coach, that all of a sudden Matt Miazga might be out of the doghouse with the national team. And he might be a person that starts getting called back into first team camps in the build up to the World Cup. He and Greg, for whatever reason, not eye to eye. I think Miazga, he got called up when BJ was running the team in that short window, right? I think.
Yep, he did.
So it seems like, and I know Matt's was pretty outspoken about Greg Berhalter and some of the things that were going on with the national team. We take it for granted that the only person that we would have to worry about would be Miles Robinson, who's here on an option year next year. You get a different manager in, and all of a sudden it could be Miles and Matt that this team is missing during international windows. And so having someone that is from outside that and having another top quality center back, I can't say I dislike it.
Yeah. Yeah, throw Yedlin in that mix as well.
Yeah.
It's something I mentioned on another pod. Not that I necessarily think Miazga and Yedlin are so good that the U.S. men's national team has to call them up. But you do wonder, like, with potential culture issues in the national team, a pretty classic move for a manager is to bring in veteran players to just sort of like set the tone or set a culture, or to at least offer guidance to the young guys. And, Tim Ream is an older player. Yes. And they can lean on that. Yes. He wasn't around the national team for all that long. It's not like he was playing in multiple World Cups himself. Versus Yedlin playing in the 2014 World Cup. Like, he has seen a lot. He is well-traveled. He may have something to offer these guys. Throw in Miazga as well. Again, not saying that they're that good they can't be dropped. But yeah. Yeah, I think it's a good point. We also don't know what potential changes can still be happening to the roster rules.
Right.
So numbers can continue to increase. Salary caps are very likely to increase even more than they are expected to, as Apple is trying to recoup its expenses so far in MLS. It wants to start attracting more and more talent. I think guys like this make a lot of sense. Nigeria, I'm sure on some level in Apple was identified as a potential market where they could grow hundreds of thousands of subscribers if they got the right players in, and he may very well factor into that here. We've seen other players offer up. I think it was Memphis Depay was offering his services in exchange for a cut of Dutch subscriptions sold and things like that. Like people know the game at this point.
People are getting wise. They're getting wise to what Lionel Messi managed to pull off in this league.
Yeah. So I don't think these things are impossible going forward. I also think, too, if you project ahead a little bit next year, you have guys like, again, potentially Dem, Sharilla, Dado, escaping me, Assad at the moment, guys that you know are going to be contributors. And some of these guys are starters that are making well under their market value, that you can offset a little bit of that by then paying other guys a little bit more than their same market value.
I trust Albright. The other thought I had today, and I brought it up on the Discord, was if you're looking and projecting this roster forward, this is 2 consecutive years, this year and last year, where this team has effectively had a 4th designated player because Albright went out and found someone in the loan market that plays at well above the salary budget hit that they were taking. Last year, it was Mascara, who for $600,000 of budget hit played like one of the best center backs in the league, and who appears is going to be potentially a starter for Wolverhampton this year, based on the reporting that's coming up on how high they are on him from across the pond. This year, it's Orishano, who I think is on a $100,000 or $90,000 worth of budget hit.
89,000 and change is the league minimum.
Right. So he is an MLS All-Star at $90,000 of budget hit.
Jeez.
And it's great. It's a roster hack, but you wonder how long he can keep getting away with this, as they say.
Yeah. Grayson was roasting me for saying that Orishano was putting up DP production on his salary, which I will still defend, but
I'll defend that.
Yeah,
I'll defend that entirely. And look, they may have to make that decision in December, depending on how the salary budgets work out, depending on what his purchase option is, and depending on what kind of personal terms he wants to dictate with FC Cincinnati. I mean, look, in order to make that transfer complete, he has to agree to personal terms with FC Cincinnati. I don't know if those have already been agreed upon, but what I do know is that if they've already been agreed upon, there's no saying he's not going to back out of that after the year that he's had and say, you know what? I may have agreed to, let's say, $450,000 a year salary. You saw the year I put up. We're going to need that to be a lot closer to $1 million before I do anything coming to Cincinnati. Yeah. And in that case, you do have to make the debate. You do have to make the decision as to whether or not you want one of your 3 DPs to be Lucho Orishano.
Yeah.
Champagne problems right now, though.
Yeah, so I did the math on it. With the cap increases and max budget charge moving up, this only works exactly on these numbers. A $4 million transfer fee and a $400,000 salary on 3 guaranteed years keeps them under the DP threshold by $10,000 a season. You go a hair over any of those numbers, 400,000 or 4 million, it doesn't work. Now, you gain a lot if you give him more than 3 years. I don't know if he'll go for that. I don't know if we'll go for that, but those are the margins we're working with here.
Right. There's got to be a way to hack that, to give some player like 7 years. They do this in the NFL now, where they'll give like a 7-year deal, but the last 3 years are voidable years just to spread the salary or the signing bonus out over a longer length of time.
Oh, this is the Bobby Bonilla deal. I think Ken
Deferred
Griffey
compensation. Yeah.
Ken Griffey Jr., I'm pretty sure, is still a top 5 paid Reds player this 2024.
And that'll be Shohei Ohtani. I think Ohtani's getting like payments until 2050.
Yeah. So
which is good. So he can't gamble them away because he's lost his fall guy now.
Maybe that was the insurance. He's like, I will lose all of this.
Yeah, you need to hold on to this for me because I really like the Sixers tonight, and that's bad news for my bottom line.
Right.
All right, so we have this deal done. He's signed, he's sealed, he's delivered.
Apparently, is he delivered?
They did note that his P1 visa is not available yet, or it was not available as of the time of the announcing. I tend to believe the fact that they have announced him formally means that they expect the P1 visa imminently.
Soon.
The government is not shut down. The government is open for business currently, so that wouldn't be a delay, I don't think.
Yeah. Does he play in the Leagues Cup, do you think?
That was been my question to you. Does he play in the Leagues Cup? I think yes. I think he will have so he can't train. Oh, wait, no, he probably can just be an unnamed trialist, right?
Probably, yeah.
So
look out if you play in any 7v7 leagues in the area.
Right.
You may be looking to stay match fit.
This will be one of those ones where it's like, if you would like to keep access to your media credential, you're not going to mention that guy over there that's running. And there will be no photos of that guy over there that's running, as he definitely doesn't train without a visa.
Oh, that's a U17 that we called up to make up numbers. Don't worry about it. My God, he's the biggest 16-year-old I've ever seen in my life.
No, he's here. He's just visiting, and he's just getting a workout in. He's definitely not working. He's getting a workout.
Yeah, yeah. It's entirely recreational. So
it's voluntary. You know, it is what it is. I would expect he will be training illicitly until the visa comes in, which would mean that he will have basically a week and a half of training.
Yeah.
Assuming he hasn't been already training this entire week prior to the announcement.
He was in town, and I think even in the story on FCC.com, he said, yeah, it's been a wonderful time I've had with Cincinnati. You don't say that if you haven't been here for more than a couple of days.
Yeah. Yeah, they don't do the official photo shoot the first day you're here.
Yeah. And again, not in Cincinnati, with Cincinnati.
Yeah. So I would expect that he's been training. I would expect that he, as long as the visa situation is sorted, I will expect that he gets some run at the very least in the next Leagues Cup game. Whether or not that's a starting, I would, if he's here, start him. Who gives a fuck? Really? Like, what are you going to do? Drop out of the Leagues Cup? Okay.
Right. That's kind of where I was going, which is I don't think we get out of the group. This is a controversial take. And therefore, I don't think he gets the visa done in time.
What?
So I don't think we see him. I think we get out of the group.
The visa will be done by next week.
Ooh, okay.
Look, there's a Senate race happening in Ohio. You call Sherrod Brown up and you say, how badly do you want to win this race? You call JD and be like, hey, man, we have a gift card to Ashley Furniture with your name on it if you can get this visa done, okay?
Hey, he's worn FCC gear. Of course he's a huge fan.
Get up off the couch and let's do this, okay?
Do you lay the plastic cover? Oh, never mind.
You want to be able to. You don't want to. It ruins the feeling. Everybody knows this.
The couch condoms, as we call them. So there we go. We got the center back. Next thing on the rumors to-do list is sell Bupenza.
Sell Bupenza or buy Bupenza out.
You know, it's funny. The longer they don't sell him, the more buying him out is viable.
I think that, like, I was thinking about this too. I don't wonder. So we got Matt Miazga on a free.
Yeah. Because
Matt Miazga wanted to come to MLS. We had the number one spot in the allocation order. Rest RIP in peace allocation order.
Yeah.
We hardly knew you.
We did get to know you, actually.
We did get to know the allocation order really well. But we waited Chelsea out. Yeah. And eventually they had no choice but just to let him go on a free to get him off their books because they had to sell. He had to be off. They had to make the balance sheet balance. I don't wonder if, look, the rest of the world isn't dumb. They can read.
Yeah.
If you are interested in Aaron Bupenza, why not just wait? There's no rush. Why not just wait until we reach the point that we use the salary dump on him and they can get him for whatever?
You know, it's funny because it's either transfer him or buy him out, right?
Right.
So in a weird way, like a reverse transfer also makes sense. Like
we pay money to get him to go away.
We'll give you Aaron Bupenza and $1 million.
But like he has to agree for the transfer. Like we have to get him off our books. Yeah.
Of course.
For next year.
But like, you know, that makes it easier for everybody. And if that team wants to turn around and pay him a cash bonus to make it all work, so be it. But
this is why today on Twitter, I floated the idea. I've thought they should do this for a while, but now I think we've all agreed they should do this for a while. But now a perfect opportunity has arisen with League 2 or Ligue 2 in the French league. Team Bordeaux.
Yep.
You know, wonderful, lovely place in French wine country. A club has apparently decided to shutter its doors and go semi-professional. They are dropping out of the French professional system altogether down to the amateur leagues due to financial mismanagement. They're out of money. I believe the owner of this team is the same team that same person that owns Bada Vista, the place we just bought Awaziem from, if I'm not mistaken.
I think you're right.
So you have an opportunity right here. It's what we would call a distressed asset. Yes. If I worked in finance or business, I'm told they call it a distressed asset. This is the credit default swap of soccer teams right here. Carl and Jeff and the FC ownership group need to go in and buy this team and save it from dropping out of the professional leagues. Save it and keep it in Ligue 2 or Ligue 2 or whatever. And then when you own that team over there, that is a place you can launder contracts to that are bad MLS contracts. You could sell Aaron Bupenza to your team in Ligue 2 or loan your player over there and then get him off your books. And then all of a sudden, you know, he's still making his money. He's just not a part of the FC Cincinnati constricted roster anymore. You could use that to send Stephen Chirilla over to get some European experience. My God, if he plays for even a minute over there, all these American flag USMNT emoji things like, wait, he's in Europe now? Oh my God, we have to get him on the national team radar.
It makes too much sense not to. It's a shame we don't know if Carl is a wine aficionado. It feels like he isn't.
He's a white guy with $1 billion. Of course he's a wine aficionado.
But he's very Christian, I feel like.
Yeah. What's the big thing that the old JC did at the Last Supper?
Busted out the full-bodied reds. That's
right.
True.
Famously a beverage associated with the Christian faith.
I mean, it adds up. Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. Everything you just outlined is exactly the case. Plus, it lets you sort of double your scouting network over in Europe. You can bring guys into Bordeaux as potential moves before FCC. Again, assuming the ambition of Bordeaux is to keep them in League 2. Or Bordeaux goes and challenges in League like that seems viable, especially with half of the league looking like they're going to have to declare bankruptcy here soon.
Right? You change their colors, orange and blue. You've got now an outpost over there.
Changing the colors is always a little tough, but yes.
Yeah, fuck them. They're French. They'll get over it. Just stay away if they bring out the guillotine. Just stay away for a couple of days.
Yeah.
Look, I was in France. French are lovely people. I didn't visit like the French countryside, so I can't make any representations about that.
Terrible people.
if you are a person with access to a PJ and $1 billion, this seems like the easiest thing in the world to sell your family on. Oh, by the way, I bought a soccer team in French wine country. Would you like to go visit and watch a match?
Right.
We can bring a couple cases of quality good reds back with us.
And there's especially a way to do it better than other MLS owners have done it. And it would be too good. You would give different players.
We already have a nonstop flight.
We
already have a nonstop flight to France going out of CVG. You could have like some synergy. They could be like, they could go over there and play a friendly. We could come over here. They bring them over here and play a friendly. You could serve lovely. You could serve like wine from the local vineyards in the super expensive seats that I can't afford to sit in.
Right.
You have that like vintage of wine. Have like bottles that go along with each match. Season ticket holder gifts. This would be a great thing to like expand the cultural footprint of Cincinnati.
Yeah, especially when like the team does like a winter retreat. They could just go to Bordeaux. It'd be
go
perfect.
to Bordeaux. Can you imagine like a better signing perk of come sign with the FC? Like if you're pitching up the next Miles Robinson, right. We let you play in any international tournaments you want. We're an incredibly player-friendly organization. And during our off-season, we train in Bordeaux. We rent chateaus. We're done with Clearwater, Florida. Right. We're over in France, in the French countryside, training in the vineyards.
It would be perfect. Actually, you know, it's funny. With half of the French professional teams on the verge of bankruptcy, all of the MLS owners should just jump in and Apple should just buy the broadcast
Buy Ligue 1.
rights.
Yeah. Buy Ligue 1. We buy Bordeaux. Somebody buys Lens. I think Lille is maybe like underwater too. Buy any one of these things, but Bordeaux specifically, because like that is rich person kryptonite. This idea of like enjoying a glass of wine as we go over to see how the latest acquisition for the FC portfolio has been. And then not only that, you know what we do next? We export the first international Skyline chili to Bordeaux, France.
Wow. They'll love it.
They will. The French famously love American cooking.
I do think if you had to pair Skyline with a wine, it's a red. So it's yes, a red. I'm game.
It is the French cinque, as you will.
Okay.
It is spaghetti, Skyline chili, beans, escargot, and cheese.
Perfect.
Or no, we'll go onions.
Also
onions,
French.
Yeah, onions, escargot, cheese.
Perfect.
It would be delightful. It would be absolutely delightful.
I think we just solved it. The owner of Boa Vista and Bordeaux, I'm looking at his Wikipedia page. One, yes, he does own both. Personal life. Lopez owns a car collection, and it has been featured in Top Gear magazine and in local newspapers.
There we go.
Rich guy kryptonite. You were 100% right.
Yeah, so we're paying a $500,000 transfer fee for Awaziem. Just throw another $1 million on into this team. He wants it off his books.
Yeah. You buy the debt and then you get the team for $0. You turn it into an Apple documentary. It'd be like Welcome to Wrexham, but just with Carl and Jeff.
Right. It's Bienvenue à Bordeaux.
Okay, hear me out. Here's the pitch. It's Welcome to Wrexham, but in this case, we have the owner with the least charisma you could possibly put on camera. What do you say?
Just Birding shows up in the town square with a podium and a glass of wine. I have saved your team. Worship and adore me. I'm
not saying Birding. I'm saying Carl as the money. So in this case, he is the Ryan Reynolds replacement. Yeah. It's one for one, like.
No, you know what you would tell Jeff and Carl is like, look, you go over to Paris, you go over to France, and yes, I'm going to be that annoying person that keeps talking about the fact that I just recently went to Europe. I don't know if you're aware. I just recently went to Europe. No, it's a big deal because it took me like forever to finally go over there. I was the most ignorant boob American that vacationed in Myrtle Beach as a kid. Nothing wrong with Myrtle Beach. It's a terrible place, but there's water. But no, you go to France and like all these French aristocrats, they build statues of themselves to look like Roman dignitaries.
Right.
They are like Roman facial features. They've got the laurels on their heads. They are wearing robes and they're looking very, very statuesque as they are in fact statues. You can't tell me that Jeff Birding doesn't want a statue of himself built outside of a sporting facility wearing a toga looking like a Roman general.
Man, it would be fun.
Him and Carl together doing this, like two Roman like Praetorians standing there, standing guard over the Bordeaux stadium, saviors of the club.
I'm thinking too. So club mergers are a thing that happens in soccer. Famously, two clubs will combine and they'll be known as whatever United from then on. Although weirdly not Manchester United. I don't know how they get away with it. But we merge Bordeaux with FC Cincinnati. So they're one and the same. So there'll be an FC Cincinnati that competes in France, or we just absorb them like, twin in the womb style. And now we just say FC Cincinnati founded 1920.
I like that.
That's just it. That's the only thing we change.
We're assimilating their history like we're the soccer Borg or something like that.
When you go to the FCC all-time appearance leaders, who are all these French guys that made 500 appearries?
It's the soccer Borg. You're going over to the French and going, no, resistance is futile.
This is our club now.
So I know Jeff Birding's a listener. I know Carl Linder's a listener.
Of course.
Get on the phone, buy Bordeaux. There is quite literally nothing that can go wrong with this plan. And it would give you an out on what to do with Aaron Bupenza. Because what better way to fire up the French side over there, the fans over there, than by adding a top quality French speaking striker directly onto their team to help them win promotion back to Ligue 1.
Wasn't he late coming back to FCC one time because he was like hanging out in France? He loves it there.
He loves it there. He would, of course, he would agree to go to France. The personal terms would be done like that.
You just keep the personal terms the same, I guess. Yeah. But yeah, perfect. Well, we solved that.
We've solved. Look at us solving problems tonight. We're sending owners to prison for finishing in last place, and we're investing in new clubs for FC Cincinnati to expand our global empire and add to Apple's soccer portfolio. Can you imagine only 12 people listening to this show?
Jeff and Carl, you should go to prison for what happened those 3 years when we were bad. Also, please buy another club.
Look, Grayson's gonna be mad he missed this episode. The hate I would pay to have a camera on Grayson hate listening to the last hour.
That's Patreon content right there,
hell
baby.
Yeah. You want to slip it over to segment 2? I think we're going to talk a little Leagues Cup and a little MLS All-Star plus comments from the soccer dog.
Before we get to the next part of the episode, I do want to tell you about our sponsor, Cincy Shirts, which is now the home of official Cincy Postcast merch. This is so exciting, and we really never thought we'd see the day, and yet here we are, alive and actually seeing the day. Cincy Shirts has been with FC Cincinnati from the beginning. They've been with the Post for ever now, from the beginning. Our very first sponsor. So happy to have them along for this journey. There are 6, count them, 6 different shirts available at this time of recording that you can purchase from their website for real life. This is, again, a real thing that you can do. As I'm sure you know, but I will remind you, they have 3 retail locations, including Fort Mitchell, Loveland, and Oakley Hyde Park, where in those locations, they can print on demand. If they don't have the size of something you want, you can print on demand. I assume this means postcast shirts as well. Give it a shot. Let me know how that goes. If for some reason you do not want to purchase one of our shirts, I won't hold it against you. You can use promo code ThePostCincy. That's all one word, all caps, ThePostCincy for 10% off your next order. This also works with Postcast shirts, so please don't pay full price. Make sure you knock 10% off for yourself on that one. Spread the code far and wide, I guess, and let them know about Cincy shirts and let them know about the podcast while you're at it. Otherwise, the code doesn't make a whole lot of sense. But again, a huge thank you to Cincy Shirts for sponsoring this episode and so many before it. And if I do see you out there with a t-shirt, I will be embarrassed for you, but I will probably give you a high five and tell you well done. So again, thank you to Cincy Shirts. Thank you to you for buying shirts and using that promo code. All right, we are back, Chief. Let's try not to throw anybody in prison in this segment.
Oh, it's what I do for a living, baby.
So let's see.
Quite literally.
Have you seen Presumed Innocent, by the way?
I hate it on the title alone.
Well, it's a really good Apple TV show about a district attorney, or the district attorney's office in Chicago, where one of the attorneys is accused of murdering one of the other ones. And it's a big high-profile case while an election is going on for the district attorney. It's lovely. I think you would have fun with it.
Really?
I mean, or
bet,
or it'll just be traumatizing because it's too close to home.
Probably the latter. Let's talk about the MLS All-Star game. Let's lead off with that.
Let's do this.
So, did you watch? Is question number one.
I watched 3/4 of it. I probably missed the first 20 minutes or so. I missed all the refereeing controversies or whatever.
Yeah.
When I tuned in, they were doing VAR for a potential handball, I think. And I was just thinking, this is the dumbest thing I've ever seen. Why are we doing VAR in an All-Star game?
The idea of VAR in an All-Star game is the dumbest possible thing. The refereeing for this game should be a vibe check. And this should be something where when you get assigned to this game, this should determine whether or not you become an elite referee or you're a bum referee in the league size, in the league standing. Because your marching orders in this game should be keep everyone safe, but if it looks cool, let it go.
Yeah. It's literally a fake game that is an advertisement for the league for people who either don't watch the league regularly or don't watch the league at all. Any of the regulars are already watching.
Yeah, no, what this game should be is offside in this game should be unless they are clearly off. And I'm talking they are a full body length behind the defender, it's on. And let all the players know that we're here having fun. If you go to ground to make a tackle, it's an immediate, and you make contact, we don't do yellows, it's immediately to red, you're out of the game. We're not here to hurt anyone. Go have fun out there. Score 10 goals apiece. Who cares if it's an affront to the sport? It doesn't mean anything.
The existence of the All-Star game is already an affront to the sport.
Right?
You've already committed the cardinal sin. Now have fun with it.
Yeah.
Treat it like any of the other celebrity charity games that you see where you let somebody out of the stands score a goal and you've got some TV presenter doing stepovers and stuff. Who cares?
Right. It should be banana ball. This should be like the Savannah Bananas of soccer is what this should be.
Yes. Yes, there should be the Harlem Globetrotters. There should be just a random spot 25 yards out that if you score a goal from this circle, it's worth 2 goals or something.
Yeah. There is offside means clearly within a body length past the person that you're going for.
Yeah.
No walls on free kicks.
Yeah.
If you can score, you can score.
Yeah.
That's exciting. Running PKs as opposed to the standard PKs.
Yes.
And just no added time. Just we're playing 45 and we're playing 45.
Fluid substitutions.
Yeah. Running subs like TST.
Yeah.
Actually,
just play 11v11 TST is actually what I want.
And then also have the guy on the field Escalade from the And One mixtape tour, where he is just narrating the game in real time and just hyping the crowd up on the field following the action.
Yeah, or if you want to do Taylor Twellman's Between Two Ferns bit or whatever, which I still never understood, but were those ads for a show or was just the 60-second TikTok the end product? Because I think it was the end product, and that's really disappointing.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that it's just the 60 seconds. I don't think there's more to it than that.
Well, I would put Taylor Twellman out there, and he can just roast the players for whatever.
Or they should have somebody running with the players and interviewing them as they're going along. That
would be hilarious. Have whoever was next man out has to run and interview the guys. So it's Yuya Kubo is trying to do interviews with guys.
Or it's Landon Donovan and his bad hair plugs are flapping in the breeze.
Oh no. Yes, that would be good.
That would have made the game more watchable.
Did you watch?
I did not watch. I had it on. And I feel like there's a very big distinction between those two things when it comes to sports viewing. There's a lot of times where I'll just have something on while other things are happening. But I think it's I think this is where Jonah has his TOP, time on phone.
Yes.
The time on phone for this one was high.
Very high. I did have it on, was in the bedroom again, not paying that close attention, but would pick my head up whenever I heard the name of one of our guys. But my wife, who was on her computer, she looked up when like League MX scored. She's like, "Oh man!" I was like, "Whoa, you already care
you care
way
too much
more
about this." No.
It's like, we don't care.
It's not attractive. It's not attractive to care that much, babe.
Dude, no, you don't need to pretend here. It's okay. It's actually funnier that Roman Berkey is getting scored on right now.
Bad Roman, as we call him in our household.
Yes.
Lucho, I thought he was classier than I would have been with the idea that he was going to give what's his face, Cucho, the PK in his home stadium.
Yeah.
I respect that he was booed there. I respect that.
I like that a lot.
Yeah, I like that for us. And I think deep down Lucho likes that he was booed there too. I think that was the right reaction.
There's like, especially older MLS fans, I don't mean age, I mean like have been fans of the league for a long time, have this weird thing where they seem allergic to trash talk and they seem allergic to like being a fan of your team and not the league or other teams. And it feels like a proper coming of age moment for Columbus to actually boo the captain of the All-Star team because they play for your rival. If you played the All-Star game in Columbus 15 years ago, they are applauding for whoever the captain is if they're from Chicago or Toronto.
Because it's Team MLS and we're here to support Team MLS. No, that was cool. And I like the fact that in his pregame interviews, Lucho was like, "Yeah, no, it's weird to be on the other side here. I hate it here."
Yes, yes. I like that. I also, I think Lucho was asked, would Nance make a good U.S. men's national team manager? And Lucho said, only if he calls me up, which is great.
Which means I'm still desperately curious where that process is for his visa or his citizenship, I should say.
He's thinking about it, at least. It's top of mind for him. I like that.
I like that a lot. I enjoyed the fact. I enjoyed how Lucho, all I could think about was just like, that's my captain, man.
Yeah.
That's my guy. Like, he really does. We talked about this a long time ago. He allows me to live the lie that he cares about it, that he cares about this as much as I do. And he cares about the team, the city, the rivalry, all that sort of stuff as much as the fan base does. And let me live that lie.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I liked that.
Orshano
trying again. The balls on this kid.
He had Twellman, he had me convinced he was scoring that goal. Huge midfield chip, only misses by a foot or two, which was amazing. And in general, I thought Orshano looked very good, shown very well. People will say he didn't play good defense, and I would say it's an all-star game.
I'll say it's an all-star game, and you're a try-hard if you play defense. That's rule number one. This is also the kind of performance where it's like, this will turn some heads in Liga MX, and they have seemed like they want to be a buying league for MLS talent. It wouldn't surprise me if we get a bid for Luca in the winter window. I don't know if we're going to be in a position to immediately activate his purchase clause and sell immediately. But it would not surprise me if a Liga MX team decides they want to kick the tires on Luca after this.
I wouldn't be surprised if, say, Bordeaux comes knocking.
No, that's where we send the bad contracts.
Oh, right. Oh,
bad to Bordeaux, good to FC.
Sorry, I just wanted to say for a second, it's really funny if we try to hide the fact that FCC also owns Bordeaux from the players. So you could have Vasquez be like, hey, we got you this great loan to Bordeaux. We're going to give you your chance in Europe. And after like 3 months, you just tell the manager of Bordeaux, like, send him back. You don't like him, send him back.
He can't cut it in Europe. I need you to have the talk with him that he's never going to make it on the continent.
Right.
My advice to you is to get back to MLS before you put more bad tape out there for people.
Before they get too much further into their season. Thanks.
So the game was nonsense. I think Liga MX wins, 4-1? I think was the final score.
4-1, although they scored like 3 of those goals within about 5 minutes. But
nobody cares. I mean, I like this format better than the let's bring Tottenham in to just absolutely trounce the best players in MLS. I always thought that was a strange look for the league, that we're just showing off that our product is inferior.
Inferior to the Tottenham B- team, right?
Like I like the Liga MX thing because I don't care about the All-Star game, but it wouldn't surprise me if the people at MLS care that we lost. And it would be the dumbest but most accurate timeline if this is what gets roster rules to open up a little bit, is that, well, we keep getting our ass kicked in the All-Star game and in the Leagues Cup. We need to do something about this.
That's a good point. And maybe a good transition to Leagues Cup, unless you have anything else you want to say about the All-Star game.
Well, let's put a pin in Leagues Cup for just this 1 second, because also at the All-Star game, one of the traditions of the MLS All-Star game is this is one of the few times that MLS Commissioner Don Garber holds court with the media. This used to be, it always brings back happy and fun memories, because this was where, when we were in our USL era, is he going to mention us?
Oh, come on, baby.
Is someone going to ask a question about Cincinnati? Are we going to get talked about by the commissioner?
Us and San Antonio. Wow. Look at us go.
Well, I mean, you look. He talked about Sacramento. They got to be in first, right?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. Nashville. What the fuck?
Where did that come from?
Right.
Yeah.
So So he held court. There wasn't a ton of interesting info on this. I think that if we hadn't already found out about these new roster rules ahead of time, that might have been something that got dropped at this point, but that had been thoroughly leaked.
Yeah.
The only two things of note that I took away, and I don't know if you read or saw his comments that he made. The first one was he's once again insisting that the league is ending expansion or pausing expansion for a while after the addition of San Diego, which definitely means that they're going to be expanding past San Diego at some point in the near future.
Yes, of course. I'm trying to quickly dig up the exact quote. Yeah, this is so funny. Oh man, I only have a snippet of this. I can't seem to find the actual.
It was something to the effect of, we have no plans to expand past San Diego at this time, but of course, if other markets appear to be interesting to us or provide value to us, we would obviously consider that, which is...
We are not in a period of expansion, but if the right candidate comes, we will expand. So you're always expanding.
Was that the exact quote right there?
No, I'm paraphrasing what the half snippet of the quote I can see. MLS Commissioner Don Garver says expansion not imminent, but Indy is doing all of the right things.
Yeah. That's what he said about us too. It's like, well, I mean, we don't really have any plans right now, but Cincinnati's looking really interesting in what they're doing in their first year.
You can't just add one. You got to do two teams. The even league, I assume you got to do even numbers, so that always makes it interesting. Okay, Indy makes sense, but who else? Where else? Do they drop another team in another market? Do you try Chicago again? Do you try Dallas? Do you do something funky to mix one of these guys up? Yeah, I don't know. I mean, at some point you got to bring Tampa back, because you already bought Miami back, the Fusion. You brought Chivas back, which became LAFC. Tampa's the only open sore out there of MLS failed in this market. You know, there's a lot of weird funkiness right now in Tampa with Ray's potential stadium. There was a split deal with Montreal kicked around. You have the Rowdies are in a fairly stable position, but the lease is coming up on their stadium soon enough. The Rays owner owns the Rowdies, if folks aren't aware of that. So maybe they build a baseball stadium with soccer in mind, which would be weird. But not unheard of. Riverfront.
But it's Florida. Everything in Florida is weird.
I mean, they're already playing indoor baseball in Florida, which is defeats the whole purpose of putting a team in Florida. So yeah, there's enough weirdness there that could make sense. But do you put two teams that would probably both be in the East? That seems weird, but you could flex Nashville and St. Louis back out west or whatever. I don't know. You could get weird with it. But yeah.
So yeah,
I don't
keep an eye on that.
I don't want to care about it.
I don't care anymore because we got in, and I don't give a shit anymore.
People have said, at some point they have to stop. I think they really don't. No. There is a point where Premier League plays 38 games in a season? I think that's right. You could expand to 40 teams and play everybody once and play a 39 game season.
Yeah.
And just alternate home and away every other year. So
once you establish that you're going to have playoffs in your league, then the need to play a balanced schedule doesn't matter.
Yeah.
The NFL doesn't play a balanced schedule. The NBA doesn't play a balanced schedule. Baseball doesn't play a balanced schedule. If you're going to play and use that as your determination for a champion, you need to have a round robin format. But someone says you have to.
No. And again, you get closer to it the more teams you add, where you just play everybody once.
Yeah.
Luck of the draw, home or away, but you hit everybody once.
So that was number one. The only other interesting thing that I thought that came out of his comments, and this is the one that really seemed to dial up the universe on this one, was that he also decided that Don wanted to weigh in on the U.S. Open Cup.
Yes.
And the league's decision to get rid of or end the participation in the Open Cup due to what they said, fixture congestions, all of that sort of stuff. So it's interesting that this is timely because you look around the Twitter sphere, you look around the online sphere. Now you're seeing all of a sudden everyone make their virtue signaling statements, supporters groups in places like Austin, New York, a lot of other places saying we are banning or we are calling on our members to not participate in the Leagues Cup because of what has happened to the U.S. Open Cup in this historic tournament. And it's awful what happens. It's wrong. And so we're not gonna be a part of the Leagues Cup, which we're gonna talk about here in a second. But it's interesting that Garber said, he said, I think his quote was, here, I'm gonna read it right now.
Yeah, please.
He said, I understand that it was an unpopular decision that we made. And we decided based on what we think is in the best interest for our players and our clubs. Frankly, when we think about the pyramid, when you have lower division teams that are playing games of importance, when they're playing up, we wanted MLS Next Pro teams to have games of importance and play up. We would have been more than happy to play those games against USL clubs. We have to make decisions as relates to the health of our players. So, it's interesting. But then he goes on to talk about the issues with the business metrics of the Cup. And he cited to a match in Atlanta that only had 1,400 people. And he was talking about the economics of opening your building up, even though they didn't play it at Mercedes-Benz Stadium. I think they played it in Kennesaw, Georgia. What do you make of all this? Where do you... I have some thoughts, but I want to hear what you think about it first.
So I think we're seeing once again the split, the divide that the sport is forcing to reckon with all over the world, which is the regulators of the sport are also the promoters in the boxing sense of the sport, where the cops have a tournament and you have to participate in the cops tournament or the cops get to come after you. That's U.S. Soccer has a tournament, the Open Cup, and they're the regulatory body and you have to play by their rules and you have to participate in their tournament. Whereas MLS is its own legal entity with its own business practices, with its own owners that only participates in U.S. soccer because it makes financial sense in the world of FIFA, in the context of FIFA. But they're not keen to help promote what is ultimately a rival business to what they are doing. The Open Cup is a rival business to, sure, Leagues Cup, but also MLS itself. It's literally promoting rival leagues in USL and NISA and whatever else. And you can have opinions on those, but at the end of the day, they are competitors. MLS would like folks in Louisville to be MLS fans, and by and large, they aren't. If you're a fan of local soccer in Louisville, You're a Louisville City fan. You're not an FC Cincinnati fan. MLS sees that as not a problem, but that's their market. That's who they're aiming to go for. That's why they go with a broadcast partner like Apple and not having everybody broadcast over the air in their local market. MLS has bigger, higher ambitions. And sure, MLS is going to say MLS Next Pro teams and whatever. I honestly don't buy that. I think it's literally MLS has developed a rival product to both CONCACAF Champions League and Open Cup in Leagues Cup, and they want to promote that because they actually make money on that.
Yeah. The quote that he had that I was looking for as I was talking was that he was saying that the U.S. Open Cup does not drive value for MLS, and that the U.S. Open Cup needs to be better if MLS wants to participate in it. And look, there were some takes on this, and it's because for a lot of people this has become a de facto way, and I know virtue signaling has like this negative connotation to it, and so I don't mean this in the pejorative sense, but what I do mean is that this has become sort of a way to show where your values are as a soccer fan, that I am going to have to stand up for the Open Cup because I need to show everybody else that, like, I understand the assignment. I understand what I'm supposed to say and what I'm supposed to do. I understand where the moral high ground is, and I'm going to show you that I am also standing on the moral high ground with all these other people. It's interesting to me, though, that he's right on some aspects of this that are kind of uncomfortable, that the Open Cup is poorly run.
Yes.
The Open Cup is amateurishly done. The Open Cup doesn't make a lot of sense in the way that American sports do business. We're holding drawings for the Open Cup on hosting and scheduling on like 2 weeks, 3 weeks notice sometimes.
In a broom closet on YouTube.
Right, on YouTube. And that works in a country where everything is a 4-hour train ride away or a 2-hour train ride away. It doesn't work in a country where, like, you have to all of a sudden get professional sports teams flights and transportation to places. A lot of these teams are on shoestring budgets that are trying to travel around.
They have to rent facilities. Yeah.
Yeah. And the other thing, too, is it's like, it's for better or worse, the product looks poor on television, and it's a TV product. Like, all sports are TV products at this point.
Yes.
And, you play a game that is, you don't know whether you're hosting it or not, so it can't be part of your season ticket package. Yeah. So you have to sell this as a separate ticket on a weeknight with 3 weeks notice. And then your building is a third full because you're asking the people who have already paid hundreds of dollars, or in some case thousands of dollars, to cough up more money for a game that is against a lower league side.
Where you're probably not running out your starters, so it's not even an opportunity to see your favorite players or whatever. Yeah.
And look, there's ways they can make this better, but the way the uncomfortable truth is that Don Garber is right, that the U.S. Open Cup needs to get better. Now, I would say where he's wrong is that by pulling out of it, that's not the right answer either. That the answer
not going to make it better doing that.
No, the answer has to be engaging in some sort of a good faith effort to make the Open Cup work. And somebody on, I was going to say Golazo, who I usually find most of their content insufferable, but somebody brought this idea up, and I tend to agree with this.
Okay.
Is that if you're not going to have pro rel in the United States, which I don't think, I don't want it. I think a lot of people don't want it. A lot of people very loudly do want it. But I
am among those who want it, but I will admit you got to lay out a pretty good argument as to why a billionaire who does not have that system should opt in.
Right. Also, you're categorically insane for being a Cincinnati sports fan and wanting to establish punishments for the last place team. Like, just insane.
Hey, this is how we get the Cyclones into the NHL.
It will never happen. It's Cincinnati. These things don't happen to us. You know this. But if you're not going to have pro rel, this is the one thing where you got to give out. Like, you've got to be more magnanimous to the rest of the pyramid, and you almost have to treat this as your charity arm that promotes the remainder of the pyramid, because you're not going to do the thing that the rest of the world does by letting other teams play their way into your league. You can't. This is the old Mark Cuban line where it's, pigs get fat, hogs get slaughtered. Like, you're approaching hog territory when you're telling the federation, no, we're not going to play in your tournament. No, we're not going to open our league up. At some point, you are daring someone to try and do something about that at a federation level.
Right.
And you're one president and federation election away from someone coming in that wants to do that. Eric Winalda wanted to do that. Paul LaPont, who was running for federation chairman, wanted to do that. At some point, someone's going to have the decision or make the decision that you are becoming entirely too big and controlling for all this. You need to open and expand the pie a little bit for more people.
And as we've seen with the relevant sports lawsuit that has went to the Supreme Court, be careful what you're fighting here, because you can eviscerate U.S. soccer's regulatory control and you can absolutely stomp all over that. But that then means you're fighting a lot more fights on a lot more fronts when Liga MX is hosting matches in Dallas, and you've all of a sudden got the Premier League and European Champions League kicking around the idea of playing matches there. Why shouldn't South America's Copa Libertadores be played in Miami every year or played in LA every so often? Are you sure? Yeah, LAFC is very well supported. Is it more supported than Boca Juniors versus River Plate? Let's be careful now. Let's be careful what we're wishing for.
And this is just where another thing where, look, I'm sure Don Garber is really good at his job. I don't think he would keep making the kind of money he makes. I don't think that he would be someone who, I think we've mentioned it before, is on the short list of people that the NFL would call if Roger Goodell decided he wanted to retire tomorrow.
Every time Roger Goodell's contract is approaching the end, Garber gets a pay raise and a contract extension.
Yeah.
It's very funny.
So, the job of a commissioner is to do the bidding of owners. And so whenever anyone gets mad at Don Garber, I just laugh. Right. When people online are like, fuck Don Garber out. It's like, this is what they want. Yes. The owners hire the commissioner to be the sin eater for all of the rich people. He is quite literally the whipping boy for everyone. Like, they make their decisions in shadowy, smoke-filled rooms, and they send the commissioner out to take all of the hate on their behalf. You are targeting the wrong person, and you are falling directly into their hands with this. But I will say this in my critique of Don Garber's performance, where I can critique it. I'm not going to critique him for the Open Cup decision because it's not his decision. It's the owner's decision. He has nothing to do with that.
Yeah.
The PR is awful here. You are saying the quiet part out loud when you say it's just a money decision, that it doesn't meet our financial needs. It doesn't make a financial sense for us. It doesn't. It's business metrics, like when they were trying to shutter the crew. You have to, when you make these statements, say, look, we love the Open Cup. The Open Cup represents soccer tradition and soccer history in this country. We were really, really upset we couldn't come to an agreement with U.S. Soccer, but we were just talking past one another. We didn't have time to get it sorted this year. We made the best decision we possibly could, but we are committed to fixing the problems that fans have with the Open Cup. Even the most ardent supporters have problems watching games or the way the tournament is hosted and the way this is done. We want to be a solution. We want to find solutions to this. And it's just like, this would all be a non-story if he would have said that and come out and said it in a better way. And
it's also true. Like, both of these things are true because if you believe the reporting, and I do, USL was ready to follow MLS's lead until they saw the hate MLS was getting. And then they backed down and were like, we've always loved the Open Cup. I don't know what these guys are doing.
Right.
And that they were apparently in lockstep, ready to walk away. You would have had essentially every professional club in the United States leave the Open Cup in one move.
I still think the solution to this is do that again, but then offer USL into the Leagues Cup.
I mean, or you just like offer up your own President's Cup or whatever, steal another thing from golf or tennis, and just like you invite USL and you invite select amateur teams that, you know, achieve a certain level of X, Y, and Z, but they're under no pretense that they ever get to host or whatever, right? Like, there's a million and one, you know, proposals and reformations we could offer to Open Cup. I don't want to get into that now.
Off-season content. Off-season content. I will say this, because we're going to do our full Leagues Cup preview on Sunday. So you're going to get the full break. Once Grayson's back, we're going to get the full. We'll be halfway through match week number 1, or
that's fine.
The group stages. But we'll go through and we'll break down where the Leagues Cup is at, and we'll break down how we see the bracket working out on Sunday. What I will say is this: I opted out of the Leagues Cup. Kevin, did you opt out of the? You're not a season ticket holder, so it doesn't matter.
So in a way, I've always opted out.
You're always opting out. That's my superpower. I'm always opting out. I did it for purely financial reasons, just because I think I can get tickets cheaper on the secondary market.
Looks like you'd be right.
I think I'm very right on this. I still might not go. But here's the deal: is I understand that a lot of people have a lot of different opinions on this. I'm going to tell you what the right opinion is, though, because that's what we do on this podcast.
Please.
If you are of the mind that you need to send a message to MLS by not attending these games and not supporting FC Cincinnati, I would suggest that your anger here is misplaced. If you are truly a fan of this club, if you are truly a fan of the FC, of what the FC does, number one, you should want the FC to win every trophy that is available to it. From Supporters Shield, MLS Cup, Leagues Cup, Open Cup. If there is a trophy that we can be awarded and jump up and down on a stage at midfield when we receive it, you should be wanting that for your team. Yes. You should want that trophy in the trophy case. You should want the thing on the wall of the stadium to read whatever it is there. You should want that. If you truly love the players of this team, you should want these players to be supported. And you should want Cincinnati to be known as the place where it doesn't matter if we're playing for pride or we're playing for money or we're playing for glory. The fan base shows up and shows out and is loud backing the team. You want to build the culture that players talk about, that makes them want to sign here, that tells all their friends. You want to build the culture that makes Obi tell his friend, our new signing, your new favorite player, Chidozie Awaziem. I'm gonna keep saying it so that I learn the name.
Good.
You want that culture that makes him say, "Come play in Cincinnati with me." You do it by showing up for games like the Leagues Cup. And there are other avenues that I would suggest that fans can use to show their disappointment to MLS, to the league, to the club, to show their displeasure with how the U.S. Open Cup decision was made. And a lot of those things have already been said behind closed doors to supporters, to the front office. I feel comfortable in saying that I believe FC Cincinnati wanted to play in the U.S. Open Cup. Yeah. I believe they weren't alone in that. I think that they had some strong support from other clubs in the league. I know for a fact St. Louis wanted to play in the Open Cup.
Yes.
Houston wanted to play in the Open Cup. There were a number of teams that went along with Cincinnati. They lost this vote. I don't think the right outcome and the right way to protest is by taking it out on the players, which when you don't show up, when you don't cheer, when you try to make a protest of it, I think that's what you're doing inadvertently. And I think they're the wrong target here. If you don't want to go to the game because you want to save a few bucks and you've already spent enough on season tickets, I'm not going to tell you how to spend your money. But if you are someone that would otherwise want to go to the game and you're trying to make a political statement about this, I think taking it out on the players is the wrong person, the wrong group of people to take it out on.
I'll offer a third-party solution here for you, which is if you were going to treat this as a protest, go support a lower division team. And I don't mean Louisville. I mean like Valhalla or like one of the amateur teams in the area, one of the teams playing in the Midwestern Premier League or, you know, Ohio Valley Premier League or whatever it's called. Like go actually support grassroots teams, grassroots soccer that is well and truly out there grinding it out, fighting for the handful of amateur spots in the pyramid. That's where I think a lot of the Open Cup protest fervor fell flat for me, is that it was a lot of people upset that frankly do not support any club team in the US. They support Liverpool or they support Real Madrid, and they want the US to look like Europe and to act like Europe and to be organized like Europe, soccer-wise, to be clear. And they won't actually go out and support teams. I've asked Ted Westervelt or whatever 100 times, who does he support? Oh, who do you got season tickets to? He doesn't support a single club. None of these guys do. It's super, super annoying. So if you truly need a political outlet, go find a local team that could well and truly genuinely use your gate receipt. Go buy a little bag of popcorn and a soda and a beer if they're allowed to sell beer.
Order a kit online and then be the hipster that walks around with a lower league amateur side kit when you're hanging out.
Yeah.
Everybody loves that guy to party.
But yeah, to sit there and say that you're protesting and then to go log on to your Apple MLS Season Pass subscription and watch the game doesn't really send the same message you think it does. So, yeah, there you go.
When it comes to Leagues Cup, Kevin, we are in East Region number 1, Cincinnati, NYCFC, and Querétaro, the stabby boys from down south of the border.
Bring them on.
We are not going to do another full learn about Mexican teams. If you want to learn about Mexican teams, last year's episode is up.
They didn't change. They did not. The same teams.
Because Mexico, like a learned partner in crime they are to the United States, has abolished Pro Rel. To which I say bravo.
Chief, I really like this on the Leagues Cup website. If you click on schedule, I believe, unless I'm reading this wrong, they have seeded every single team. Is that what I'm looking at here?
I have no idea. All right.
So you got, I think it's pronounced Querétaro, but I could be wrong. Querétaro versus New York City. I should go back and listen to the old episode. Querétaro, 38th out of, I think, 45 or 46 teams in the tournament versus New York, who is 31st. So we're third. We are the third seed. So we've got one of the easier groups. But yeah, we will probably be recording the next episode when they play. But the match to keep an eye on, Sunday at 8 p.m., New York City hosting Querétaro there at Yankee Stadium. That's the one important one, the one impactful one for us. Columbus gets a bye. I think it's Pachuca gets a bye. And yeah.
Yeah, there are some legitimately fun games that are coming up in this tournament over the course for a couple of first match days. It starts tomorrow, so as you're listening to this on Friday, we're sorry for recording late and delaying, but
yeah,
you know, this weekend you've got Puebla versus Miami. That should be a really, really fun match.
Yeah. I really like Chivas versus San Jose. I just say bet the over. That's not financial advice, but bet the over.
Pachuca versus Red Bulls is coming up on the 30th, so that'll be on... When are we recording next?
We're probably recording on the 28th.
28th, okay, so that'll be afterwards. So we'll be able to preview that one. So yeah, just some crunchy matchups. LAFC versus Tijuana.
That's like a fun one.
That'll be fun.
Yeah.
I don't give a shit about the games that are just MLS versus MLS.
Yeah, that's boring.
So maybe what we should do when we preview this, and we're show prepping in real time here, just talk about the games that are going to be Liga MX versus MLS, and then also give our group stage predictions after we've already had the benefit of watching half the matches.
That's good.
But like, if you say you don't like this tournament, I don't know, man. Like, there's going to be soccer on 26th, 27th, 28th, 29th. There's basically soccer on almost every day for the next like couple of weeks.
2 weeks, 3 weeks. I will say we are a Pro Leagues Cup podcast, but that is not to say we can't disagree about where the Leagues Cup falls in the calendar and the logistics of the tournament. I still think, personally, it should be at a couple of host cities, and some of those host cities should be in Mexico. I don't like how widespread it is. But if you are going to have it in like a million different home stadiums, let those home stadiums be home stadiums. Damn it. I really don't like walking into TQL Stadium and pretending like it's a neutral site for FCC versus NYCFC. That was the dumbest thing I saw last year, and I really hope we don't have to keep pretending that this year.
Also, the when they were playing the music after every goal kick to drown out the potential Mexican fans cheering their homophobic slur.
Yeah, that was
weird.
That was different.
Yeah, this tournament, like, we're pro Leagues Cup, and I guess we'll hit this more on Sunday, but to me, this tournament is just 50% of what it could and should be because they don't play games in Mexico.
Yeah.
And like until these games are they play home and away, or the Mexican teams host some of these games, I'm just not as interested in it.
Yeah.
Or if it's not at a neutral site.
I'm telling you, a handful of neutral sites makes it more of an event, makes it more fun. I don't know. That's what I
mean, yeah, like you do it at a couple of neutral sites and you do it like the NCAA tournament. You've got morning sessions and afternoon sessions at whatever field you're on. Yeah. So your ticket gets you into 2 games in the morning or 2 games in the evening.
We do that with Gold Cup and things like that. So it's not even unheard of in this region to be doing it with these players in a lot of cases. Yeah, I don't know. You could put a couple in Monterrey, a couple in Mexico City, a couple in Tijuana, LA. Maybe you try out a couple of new markets. You do a couple in Phoenix, a couple in Vegas, a couple in San Antonio. Try it out. See how it feels.
Be like the NCAA's where like the student section gets replaced between games. The supporters sections change out between games.
Yeah.
Everything else is ticketed.
And it's really funny when like the fans of the late game are rooting for the underdog in the game and stuff. I always love that.
Yeah.
You're like, wow, that 16 seed really brought a lot of fans. It's like, it's in St. Louis and the Missouri fans are rooting for the 16 seed.
Yeah, all the Kansas fans are cheering for the upsets. They have an easier path to the Sweet 16.
Right. Oh, God. All right, Chief, let's do part 3 in the 11 out of the 18 and let's get out of here.
And we're back. Kevin, we definitely need some more advertisers for the second advertising break.
We do. If you're out there and you really, really got to get in front of dozens of listeners in the FC Cincinnati target demo, baby, we got exactly what you're looking for.
What we really need to do is we need to figure out how to SEO this so that people in Bordeaux start listening and we can get some free wine. Like all of a sudden the ad read is someone in French talking about visitbordeaux.com or whatever.
We got a brewery. We just need a winery.
Grayson all of a sudden like crashes through the wall like a Kool-Aid man to join the episode.
Do Natty Wine, what do you call them? Distillers? What do you call a winery?
Winery?
A wine. Yeah. Do natural wine wineries, do they sponsor podcasts? I don't know.
I don't even know what natural wine is. Is it like raw milk? Or like, does it get you does it kill you when you?
It's unfermented wine or unpasteurized wine. That's it.
Oh, yeah, there we go. That's great.
Unfermented wine, I think, is just grape juice.
It's jelly. It's great. It goes great with peanut butter, not so much with anything else. Kevin, yes. We're going to do a little in the 11 out of the 18. You can put one thing in your 11 for this week, one thing out of your 18 that you dislike. This is our favorite off-season activity, and during this little mini off-season break, we're not reviewing movies, we're bringing back some segments. So Kevin, what is in your 11 this week?
This is a fun one. This was not on my radar until this evening, where I had the first one in quite a while. Dairy Queen Blizzards are going in the 11. That was a nice treat. And man, I still love that they do the real dumb, like fake dump it out, pour it out in front of you.
Do they still do that for real? Like they still turn it upside down?
100%. My kids were blown away.
That's outstanding. It's like a magic trick.
Yes. I did have to explain to him that it doesn't keep working after the ice cream has started to melt a little bit, but we got past it, and they were delicious. Better than a McFlurry. The machines are always working, so that's always good. And yeah, I don't know what chemicals are in it, I can assume it's a gum extract of some sort that is keeping that all together. But I gotta say,
like when it's sticking to the inside of the cup, I don't like to imagine what it's doing to the inside of my digestive tract when it's going through.
Don't worry about it. It's fine.
Don't worry about it. It's fine. Like, the more you think about it, the less good it is for you, right?
Nobody's ever gotten sick eating Dairy Queen, okay?
I don't know that I would want to make that bet. How does Dairy Queen manage to keep the Blizzard machines working and McDonald's can't?
If I remember correctly, not to give you a real answer to a rhetorical question, if I remember correctly, the company that contracted with McDonald's also has exclusive maintenance like rights to your machine, and they charge an insane amount of money to repair the machines and intentionally make them very finicky. So they're like designed to break so that you have to actually make that company makes all their money repairing your machines.
Yeah, do you remember there used to be a website called, it was like McBroken or something like that, where you could actually look and see if the McDonald's ice cream machine near you was broken?
So good. I missed that.
Yeah, it's phenomenal. I was back in the age where like anyone with a great idea could make a website that got them on CNN.
The single-use websites are my favorite. RIP is DMXinjail.com was always a good one. One that should still work is howmanypeopleareinspace.com. And
I like that.
It'll just give you a number of how many human beings are in space right now.
How many people are in space? They have a website working? 10. There are 10 people in space right now, being led by Kayla Barton, 988 days in space.
That's a lot of days.
That is a lot of days in space. Wait, this can't be right. This website isn't working.
Oh.
Yeah, because they've got some people that have been in space for like 1,225 days right now.
I do know that there is some controversy with like the space station and refueling and things like that. So I actually wouldn't put it past us to.
No, because this is not right. This is cap. Because like there's like there are those dudes that are stuck up on the International Space Station because Boeing's thing doesn't work, and they've only been up there for like a couple of weeks.
Damn.
Your website is bullshit, Kevin.
Damn.
I award you no points.
We lost another one. Well, Zombocom never led me wrong. Okay.
Right.
That's a deep cut for someone out there.
It probably got broken around the same time Candy Stan and addictinggames.com got broken.
Oh, man. Addicting Games is great.
Do you think they exist anywhere out there? Did somebody preserve all those games? The old like...
I think addictinggames.com still exists in roughly its similar shape.
Its original form?
Someone like Zanga or something bought it and sort of revived it, kept it around.
Do you remember that like moment in like internet time when every single person, whenever you signed onto Facebook, wanted you to be friends on Farmville or Mafia Wars or whatever it was?
Mafia Wars. I think Vampire Boss caught on for a half second. Yeah. Farmville. Kids these days will never know what it was like with everybody on Farmville on Facebook. Just the worst. Ugh. I'd say the worst version of social media, but that is absolutely not the case.
No, it's not. I'm actually watching a documentary right now about a cult that a bunch of TikTok dancers joined that's on Netflix, the 7M cult. 2/3 of the way through, strong recommend. Very weird. Very 7M cult. The 7M cult.
They have a huge rivalry with the Pen 15 cult. So
and the 3M cult as well. They really don't like Scotch tape is their other problem.
Scotch tape or easily hanging things in your apartment without having to drive nails through the wall.
They're big into landlords. They want to make sure that you lose your security deposit putting nails in the wall.
Damn it. I knew it's always follow the money with these things.
Right.
Chief, what are you putting in your 11 then?
In my 11 is assigned seats.
Ooh, okay.
Don't know if you saw this today. Venerable Southwest Airlines is ditching the cattle call boarding system once and for all.
Damn.
And is moving to a system where they will be selling you and you will have to reserve an assigned seat on your aircraft. They will also be adding premium seats with more legroom that they will charge you more money for. You've flown on Southwest before, I assume, right?
No, Frontier is my cheap airline of choice.
Right. So like Southwest was like a rite of passage when you were really broke,
right,
coming out of school, and you get like the $79 want to get away fare to somewhere.
Right.
And it was anarchy back in the day. They would assign you, you would have to get to the airport and check in would open like 4 hours before the flight departed. And it was the first person in line to check in got boarding pass number 1. And then each additional person that would check in after got 2, 3, 4 until everyone had checked in. And then when you went to board the aircraft, they had these like pylons that would tell you where to line up. And you would literally just get in line in order based on what number your boarding pass card was. And so number 1 had the pick of any seat on the flight. And if you were the poor, dumb son of a bitch that got a late start or got caught in traffic, I had this happen. You walk onto the airplane and it's just middle seats all the way down.
I will say again,
it's a Democrat. It was a perfect encapsulation of American democracy at action. And it was like everyone was equal in the eyes of Southwest Airlines. The billionaire and the person that had scraped together the last $50 they had to fly, they were no better off than one another. It was a great equalizer in American society.
I love
but
it.
They started to chip away at.
Mm-hmm.
They eventually added the ability to buy a fast pass like Disney, where you could cut to the front of the line by paying more. And then they allowed you to check in online 24 hours so that you wouldn't actually have to show up early to get your good seat.
Dumb.
But this feels like a death in Americana right here to me.
I would agree. I think, look, if I were in charge, I'd double down and I wouldn't even let you get to pick your seat by first come, first serve. Everybody is randomly assigned a seat and you do that once everybody is checked in. Then it's just toss up, boom, here's your seats. And I would get rid of boarding groups. It's totally random. You're all in a random line. We'll just see what happens. Like, that's got to be the most efficient way to board things. Because I'll tell you one thing, I hate boarding groups. I hate the idea of boarding groups. I despise it. I hate people, and this is not a new take. I hate people that get up and try to be the first one in their boarding group or are hovering around when their boarding group 19 and 3 is up.
Referred to as gate lice in the industry, apparently.
So stupid. What are you doing? You're waiting either way. You're in the terminal. They're not leaving. Like, the one thing is I'll understand if you've got a carry-on bag and you desperately got to have it in the overhead bin and you are allergic to them putting it under the plane for you, but like, come on, what are we doing here?
I gotta get on early to put my because I always have 2 carry-ons with me: the personal item that goes in front of you and the roller bag. The personal item never goes in front of me; it goes directly into the overhead bin, so I can have more leg room. So no, I'm the asshole. I will triple down on this. No,
oh man, will say
death before at my feet.
That's fair. You do have a unique circumstance, I will say. But for the vast majority of people I see doing this, what are you doing? What are you doing? You're waiting in the tiny tube in the tiny chair, or you're sitting out here. They're bigger seats, I'll promise you that. Yeah. You got more leg room out here. They're not leaving without you.
Southwest was, though, in this weird situation where, like, back in the day, they were truly the cheap airline to fly, and they've been undercut severely by, like, Allegiant, Frontier, and, like, Sun Country, all these super budget airlines where the ticket is $40, but then your bag fee is another $40, and then to pick a seat is another $40, and before you know it, you're up to $200 to fly on your $40 ticket. So they kind of were occupying this weird space where, hey, we're the quirky, cheap airline, but you're not cheap anymore. You're just quirky. So you may as well try and join the club with everyone that has regular seats on the plane. Charge
for the groups. Damn. R.I.P.
Yeah. I wish we had Ryanair in America. I unironically love Ryanair. I love where the concept is there. You can get a €10 flight somewhere, but they will nickel and dime quite literally everything else that you do. You want to take a leak on the plane? €5. You want a bottle of water? €5. You want an assigned seat? €20. You want to bring quite literally anything on the plane with you besides your person? €50.
Yeah, right. I love how aggressive they are on Twitter, where somebody will complain about like the seats or something, and Ryanair's just like, "What did you expect? Your ticket was $7."
Yeah.
Damn. All right. You don't really have an argument.
You are aware who you booked, correct? I've flown on Ryanair, and you know what? It's fine. It got you where you needed to go. And
not usually long flights, right? Like it's like Dublin to Liverpool or something like that. Like,
I mean, they'll fly. I mean, you can get to like the continent. You can get to like Germany and France and stuff like that. They'll fly around Europe. I don't know that I would want to be on a Ryanair flight for much longer than like a puddle jump between like Dublin and London, but
right.
Kevin, what are you putting out of your 18?
So out of the 18, this is going to be a similar one for me, but we got to Dairy Queen, and this is so stupid, but I was looking up the menu ahead of time because I was like, what's in a blizzard these days? And I hype myself, Chief. I have one snack in particular that is my ultimate weakness. This is like my sweet tooth, and it is frosted animal cookies with the little tiny circular sprinkles on them. They're usually pink and white, but there are many variations of this. It is my favorite thing in the world. I love the awful waxy mouthfeel you get after you eat a handful of these. And they were offering a frosted animal cookie blizzard, and I thought, oh my God, I've died. I've gone to heaven. This is the greatest thing. That was the one flavor they were out of when I got to the Dairy Queen.
Oh no.
Oh, it killed me. So I settled for the old standard Oreo, but man, to be promised in my mind, the dream ideal treat for you. Like this feels like it was tailor-made for me. And to come that close and to be told by the 15-year-old behind the counter that they don't have it, I was trying so hard not to show my true disappointment.
Right. It's like I can either go full Karen or reveal just how sad I am right now.
This is all I wanted.
I guess I'll take the Kit Kats. God damn it.
Oh man, but yeah, that's on my radar now. So here's the thing, though. Not unlike the broken McDonald's machine. I've got it in my brain now. I will not stop until I scratch this itch. I've got to have one of these.
Hitting every Dairy Queen in the Cincinnati area until he gets it.
If a listener happens to be in a Dairy Queen and they have this flavor, please let me know.
Let me know. Hit them up.
That's where I am out of my 18. Chief, where are you at?
Out of my 18 is boneless buffalo wings.
Okay. Talk to me.
All right. So I'm going to read directly from the news story. On Thursday, Ohio's Supreme Court ruled that the restaurant, at the center of a lawsuit, that a restaurant and its suppliers were not liable for a plaintiff's injury, deciding that boneless referred to a cooking style rather than a true guarantee. The writing for the court's majority, the court said a diner reading boneless wings on a menu would no more believe that the restaurant was warranting the absence of bones in the menu item than believe the items were made from chicken wings, just as a person eating chicken fingers would know they had not been served actual fingers. In this case, a patron had bitten into a boneless wing and had a bone lodged by mistake into his esophagus. So apparently in the state of Ohio...
What? Wait, my mind couldn't comprehend this because I couldn't accept the stupidity here. So, boneless wing does not guarantee boneless.
Yes, because it is referring to a cooking style, and they're not actually wings, they're chicken nuggets for adults. When you eat chicken, you understand the risk that chicken may in fact accidentally contain bones in it. So a restaurant is not liable if a bone accidentally ends up in a boneless chicken wing because they are not actually wings.
Can I put nails in my food?
Why?
Well,
that would just be, are they tasty nails?
Well, I'm going to say it's a traditional cooking method, and that
you would have to advertise them as chicken with nails, with rusty nails.
You have to advertise them as chicken without rusty nails,
but made using the rusty nail cooking style.
Well, yes, of course. It's not the cooking style is dropping them in the oil. There's no style that is boneless. I refuse to accept the premise of this.
Well. Apparently, in the state of Ohio, if you're ordering boneless wings, maybe chew a little bit more before you swallow.
Do they have to call them wings like the WYGZ so they can't actually call them wings like they do in the frozen food aisle?
I think if they had ruled the other way, yeah, they would have had to have put a disclaimer of some sort on them, and they would not have been able to call them boneless wings anymore, I think.
Yeah.
because they can't. If you can't guarantee there are no bones in the boneless wing, you can't call them that anymore. And so, like, since all these places, like, spoiler alert, when you go get boneless wings at B-Dubs or something, they're frozen products. They're just reheating out of a bag. They are not cutting the chicken up back there and deboning them for you.
And battering them, yeah.
Right. So in order to, like, what happens in this sort of case is then the lawyers show up after a decision that says you're liable if there's a bone in the boneless wing. And the lawyer would say, we can no longer call these boneless wings anymore because someone will sue. We will have to call them something else that does not specifically disclaim the lack of bones in there.
Cauliflower wings with bones.
So in a strange way, Kevin, this decision saved boneless wings. Boneless wings would have ceased to exist if this decision had gone the other way.
Oh, that's interesting.
Right. So
I don't think we would have been missing anything if that happened.
Which is why I'm legally required to applaud the hero that made this decision, Justice Joseph T. Dieters.
Wow. What's the dissent look like? Are they just saying...
It's a wild read.
It's boneless wings, y'all. Like...
the dissent used, this is great. I love when lawyers get mad just for reasons. The dissent called the main decision utter jabberwocky. Because lawyers won't just say bullshit.
Are they referring to the masked dance troupe from that TV show?
I can only assume. So Kevin, it shouldn't be boneless wings out of the 18. It should be people that want to take boneless wings off the menu, because now we can continue to enjoy boneless wings and not chicken wing substitutes, or whatever they would have called them for legal reasons.
How are you eating a boneless wing in such a way that a bone... I want to know more about the situation.
Yeah, it's profoundly interesting to me.
Are we just inhaling the wings?
I mean, have you seen people attack boneless wings? It's pretty... Yeah. Look, there's not a lot of daylight between a boneless wing, a chicken nugget, and like General Cho's chicken from a Chinese place. It's all about the same thing.
Right. Man, that's hilarious. All right. Well, hey, we saved chicken wings.
We saved chicken wings. So if you read this story and your first thought was, what a dumb decision, I say nay. What a smart decision. And you can thank the Ohio Supreme Court the next time you order a big plate of boneless wings. Just like I said, chew a little bit first before you swallow.
Maybe cut them up, or have your mom cut them up with a fork and knife.
Because have your mom cut them up because they're food for children. Boneless wings are food for children.
Oh God, Chief, this is a good in the 11 out of the 18. I like this.
I feel like we all learned something today.
Yeah, damn. I think what I'm getting tomorrow is Dairy Queen and boneless wings.
I'm getting some boneless wings tomorrow, no doubt. We're going for lunch, baby. And on that note, go fuck yourself, San Diego.
Thank you so much for listening to this episode of the Cincy Postcast. It is a production of The Post Cincy. You can check us out at thepostcincy.com or just click a link in the description to check out some of our written work. It also has links to our social media accounts across all sorts of different platforms, including YouTube, where we are trying to do more and more video content. Please, dare I say it, like and subscribe and leave a comment. But no, that would be really, really helpful. I also want to give a thank you to Jim Trace and the Makers. They're a local Cincinnati band who provided all of the music for this episode. We love having them on board. You can check them out. Again, link in the description of this episode to find out where they might be playing shows next, or where you can listen to more of their music. Also want to give a massive, massive thank you to the awesome and very attractive patrons over on Patreon. It is a voluntary subscription that people take out with no real promise of anything extra that keep this show afloat. And we are so, so thankful to those of you that have decided to take that commitment. If you do like the show, or at least just want to engage with other people who have listened to the show and want to talk about FC Cincinnati, MLS, soccer, or really anything else, you can go on over to Discord. Again, link in the description. Lots of links in the description where you can find a link to the Discord. That's where we are keeping the conversation going 24/7. It feels like it's a really fun group of people in there just talking about FC Cincinnati. And like I said, just about everything else. And finally, I'll say it. If you liked this episode, and given the fact that you've made it all the way to the end, I have to assume you either like it or for some reason cannot reach the stop button. Please share this episode with a friend or family member or someone who likes FC Cincinnati. The best way for us to grow is from a personal recommendation from somebody who likes it. And if that's you, please tell other people. And if you don't have any friends, feel free to give us a review on whatever your podcast platform of choice is. We'll take anything we can get. But again, a huge, huge thank you to everybody for listening to this show. I am blown away that anybody listens to this. So again, I well and truly mean this. Thank you so much for listening.